You can help support the channel by heading to our merchandise store and picking up some of our great aircraft designs created by our graphic designer. We have everything from fighters to transport aircraft, which you can choose to have printed on t-shirts, mugs, stickers and much more. Head to the description below and click the links and pick up your design today. Thank you and enjoy. Pete, when did you become interested in aviation?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because I've been thinking about that. And did I always want to be a pilot? No, not really. As a young kid growing up, I'd made all the FX models and stuff like that. Was I particularly good at it? No. There was glue everywhere and probably more paint on me than there was on the models. But was I really destined to be a pilot? Don't know. My brother joined the Air Force. My brother's about 9 years older than me. He was having a good time. He joined as a technician. And I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I'd like to give that a go. And so I went off to the Careers Information Office at Reading, went through, didn't have the qualifications, so I had to hang around a bit, work on English O-level, which I didn't have at the time. Went back to the Careers Information Office, and they said, yeah, you can come in as an apprentice. And I thought, okay, yeah, that works for me. And so I joined up as an apprentice back in '72. Went off to Cosford, and it was LTEC Air, as they called it, Electronic Technician Air. You did 2 years training for your INC, and then another year technical training, and you graduated as a corporal, and then became a sergeant. Fortuitously, did very well on the course, and after the INC, 4 of us got sent down to Biggin Hill for officer and aircrew selection. So fantastic, and then, oh, chance of being a pilot. Yeah, that seemed good to me. There was a good mate of mine, Bob McAlpine, and I were successful. Air Force said, right, fantastic guys, you passed, you're going to be pilots, off you go to university. No, I want to fly. No, you have to go to university. So Bob went off to Manchester and I went down to Southampton. Cut a long story short, basically there was just no time for study. With all the partying, flying, playing hockey and just generally socialising, nah. So in the second year, having failed my second year exams, the university said, no, this is not for you. You've done the short course. Thank you very much. Goodbye. The Air Force were very good about it. I remember telling my boss, Keith Jarvis, as we were taxiing out in a Bulldog, oh, by the way, boss, I've failed. I've been kicked out of the university. We nearly went off the side of the taxiway, but never mind. So, yeah, off direct entry to Henlow, did my officer training, and from Henlow on to Linton-on-Ouse to start my flying training.
Thanks.
Started off on the JP3 as it was, and it was basically did 100 hours on the JP3, not pressurised, but really nice aircraft to fly, learning your pilot skills, and from then you moved on to the JP5. Slightly better performance, you know, you could fly around low level nav about 180 knots. In the JP5 you're up at 240, which nowadays seems like nothing, but to a young pilot going through that was really fast. So you did 100 hours JP3, 60 hours JP5, after which, that was you graduated and then off to Valley for your advanced flying training course. Valley at the time, the NAT was just going out, the Hunters was still there on 3 Squadron, the Hawk was coming in, but I was too big for the NAT, so I ended up on 3 Squadron flying the Hunter. Fantastic, lovely aircraft, and that really did have performance. You're in the 2-sticker for all your dual sortie stuff like that, but then for all the other stuff, formation stuff like that, you went off into the single sticker, which was the F6. So that was the only time I've ever flown a true single-seat aircraft, and the F6 was, again, a rocket ship compared to the 2-sticker. So completed the course there at Valley, and then it was probably my only hold. We spent, I think it was about 3 months holding down at South Cerney with a good friend of mine called John Foster. Mike Lawrence was the test pilot down at, I was trying to remember the airfield, so at Kemble. So all the aircraft that had gone through maintenance then need to be flown back to their units. So as holding pilots, Fozzie and I just flew around down there and then delivered the aircraft back to their units. And we had a 2-seat Hunter that we could then fly back to get back to Kemble.
Nice.
There was no officers' mess accommodation at Kemble, so we're actually at South Cerney, which is an army mess.
Right.
And I must admit, great, you know, 2 young guys just finished flying training down there. We went down to the local pub for a couple of beers in the evening, and it was deserted. Nobody there, and Fozzie thought, no, what have we come to? You know, we're going to be down here for 3 months. How are we going to socialise? And the landlord says to us, no, you guys are coming too early. You need to come back at 9 o'clock. Why? Well, that's when all the girls arrive. Yeah, exactly. And we thought, yeah, I think we're being wound up here, but never mind. So we went off, came back 9 o'clock, still Cobweb City, nobody there. And then, I kid you not, 9:15, these young lovely ladies walked in. And what it was, there was an international riding stables just up the road from South Cerney. And of course, they finished putting the horses to bed and stuff like that. So we had a great time for those 3 months. As ever, I digress. So, after Valley, off to Lossiemouth, to the Tactical Weapons Unit, 2TWU, where you did all your advanced training, weapons, gunnery, bombs, rockets, air combat, air-to-air gunnery, stuff like that. One of the questions you posed was, how come I ended up on the Phantom? Well, as I said, you're talking to a man who got lost between Lossiemouth and Tame Range, which is a massive, I think, 40 miles, don't quote me on that. So the guys there said, no, your forte is combat, you did well at combat, air-to-air gunnery, and you clearly need a navigator to get around. So hence I got posted to the Phantom OCU down at Coningsby. Yes, as I was saying, so after Lossiemouth, down to the Phantom OCU at Coningsby, 228 OCU, met up with quite a few friends. Dom Riley, who kind of followed us through flying training, one of my friends there, and the navigators on the course. I got paired up with a chap called Brent Henry, who was an experienced navigator, lovely chap, and Mike King, who's still one of my very good friends, was also one of the navigators on the course. You went through the course as a course, a collective group. I think there are about 10 of us I have to look at, and you stayed as a team, did ground school. If memory serves, ground school was about 4 weeks, somewhere around that time, which is all the ground school learning about the aircraft systems, and then backed up with a simulator where you put in practice what you've learned, look at the emergencies, look about handling the aircraft, and then you go into the air intercept trainer. I'm jumping ahead a bit for the Tornado, but the Phantom intercept trainer was called the Pit. When the Tornado was introduced and they wanted to do the Tornado intercept trainer, you end up a bit like Only Fools and Horses. You can't have a thing called the TIT, so it became the Tornado Air Intercept Trainer. But going back to the Phantom, ours was the Pit, and that's where you went off, and it was basically a desk console. You sat side by side with the navigator, instructor in between, and you, the pilot, would fly it, and the navigator would command you where to go, you know, port. If they tell you to go port, that's a standard turn. Harder, increased by 15 degrees. Ease, reduced by 15, reduced by 15. And then you controlled the intercepts. And there was these magnificent keys that you learnt, which was on a 180, for example, as you start the final turn in behind the target, that at 150 to go, you have to hit this. I think it was 22 off at 9, but don't quote me. I do remember it was 180 at 4. And then that would roll you out 2 miles behind the target. So you practice doing that from known headings, unknown headings. And that was primarily, you know, the first part of the course in terms of the pilots and navigators working together, completing these intercepts. So once you finished all this ground school phase, you then went off flying with a QFI. I remember Roy Lawrence was mine. That name will come up again later on. But Roy, fantastic instructor, QFI, taught us how to fly the aircraft, and you then did basic circuits. Then night, you went off on a crew solo. Brent Henry and I flew together for the first time. Then you did night crew solo, then formation, basic formation, and formation rejoins. And that completed, if you like, the conversion phase, you converting onto the Phantom. The next part was, right, now we're going to operate it. Now we start doing the intercepts that I talked about. And you went off, and that was the basic intercept phase. Once you completed that, I was trying to remember, I don't think we did ECM on the electronic countermeasures on the OCU. Certainly did it on the squadron. I don't recall us doing gunnery on the OCU either. But then you went on to the air combat phase, 1v1, building it up into 2v1. And I think, if memory serves, I have to look at my logbook, 2v1 as far as you went. and then you did your graduation sortie, and they said, yep, fantastic, off you go. So that was the end of the Phantom OCU at Coningsby. Then came our postings, and I was really lucky, don't know why, but I got posted to Germany. Nice. 92 Squadron, flying the F4. So I was the first tourist that went to Germany. They hadn't posted first tourists out there before because the environment, it was a challenging environment. Yeah. So I got posted out there. Brent got posted out there. Mike King, I mentioned, got posted to 92 with us. Brent, for his sins, went to 19, our sister squadron out there. And that was it. Off to Germany. Fantastic. You know, really, you know, all your dreams come true. Still a bachelor, having a great time. So I arrived on 92 Squadron, fantastic, and they paired me up with a chap called Dave Gledhill, whom, yeah, you're nodding.
First guest.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah.
So Gladys, bless his name, was my navigator, experienced air defender, absolutely fantastic chap. Basically, he took me through my conversion. Yeah, it was himself and a chap called M Squared, Mac McNeil Matthews, also, because young first tourists, you know, I knew nothing. Gladys looked after us, had a fantastic time out there, and, you know, just loved it. Lots of flying. We were doing 30 hours a month. I think my best month was about 40 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, compare that to what the pilots are getting nowadays. Yeah. That was fantastic. Learned our skills, you know, rushing around at low level. And the good thing about the Phantom, one of the questions you asked is, you know, at the time in Germany, you know, the Dutch hadn't got their F-16s, they were coming. So everybody else was flying around in 104s and things like that. So, if you like, we were the big dog on the patch because we had, you know, our Fox 1, the Sparrow, AIM-9s and a gun, and a pretty agile aircraft for its time. So, you know, we were the big guys on the block. So it was a lovely aircraft to fly. Looking back at it, it's like looking at this one now and you think, my God, you know.
Where's the sat nav?
Yeah, exactly. How do we do anything? You know, and as I said, we taught, I think this has shrunk or I've got bigger because I certainly struggled to get in. But no, coming back to the Phantom, it was fantastic. We used to go down to Detchy and we did combat with the 104s down there, other people. But it was always, right, we're going to discount the Fox 1. You can't have the Fox 1. Yeah, because we'd have killed them even before we got to the pass. That came back to haunt us later on, but we'll talk about that. But the thing was, yeah, it was all, you know, guns and Fox 2s. And fantastic time, learning skills. So I mentioned Dom Riley. Well, Dom was the course behind me, and he got sent out, joined us on 92. So Dom and I were good buddies there with Kingy, and there were the three bachelors lived on the same corridor in the block. After we'd been there about 18 months and that, you know, a standard Friday night, a few beers, being the young thrusters we were, we were talking to our flight commander, lovely chap, Graham Clark, guns, sadly no longer with us. And I must admit, Dom and I had had a few beers, as you did in the bar at Vilderrath, and we said, look, you never give us any responsibility. You know, we can't do anything, we're not authorisers, we can't do this, we can't do that. He said, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a QI. And Dom said, I want to go on the Red Arrows and stuff like that. And he said, are you boys serious? I said, yeah, I really like it. He said, right, fill in the paperwork, I'll submit the forms. And I won't use the exact words he said, but basically, if you screw up, don't come crying to me.
Right.
And he was good to his word. And after about 18 months of being on 92 Squadron, I got sent off to do the QI course, Qualified Weapons Instructor course, back at Coningsby. Stu Black, which is another name that will come up again. Stu Black was one of the instructors there on the course. Really good course, really challenging, hard work. I'm not going to say it's a Top Gun course, it wasn't. You know, but it was a good weapons instructor course. And fortuitously, I won the top prize on the course.
Nice.
Back to Germany, 92 Squadron to complete my tour.